This is QTV News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue. I am Umutu Kajaka and thank you for joining us. First, here are the main news headlines. Afrobarometer, in partnership with CEPRASS, released their latest survey on Thursday, which revealed, among other things, that about 6 in 10 Gambians say local government councillors never try to listen to what citizens have to say. 33 Quranic students participated in the regional qualifying rounds of the QCELL-sponsored Quranic competition at Kerewan in the North Bank region. The Gambia National Human Rights Commission launched its advisory note on the abolition of the death penalty in the Gambia and made some recommendations. The Diplomacy and International Relations Students Association of the MDI on Wednesday honored the founding fathers of the Gambia's independence. And in international news, members of Somalia's parliament have voted unanimously to donate 20% of their February salaries to victims of the twin earthquake in Türkiye. Those were the main news headlines, and now the news in detail. Welcome and thank you for joining us. This is QTV News. Afrobarometer, a Pan-African non-partisan survey research network in partnership with Center for Policy Research and Strategic Studies, CEPRASS, have released their latest survey on Thursday, which revealed, among other things, that about 4 in 10 Gambians say local government councillors never try to listen to what citizens have to say. Ansumana Esonyasi reports.
This is the latest of 9 rounds of extensive surveys conducted by the network since 1999, covering several areas, prominently on elections, corruption and political representation. The survey comes as the country anticipates local government elections in April this year. Their findings include that majority of Gambians give their local government councillors a negative performance rating. It also shows that a majority of Gambians express a lack of trust in their local government council and say most councillors are corrupt. Additionally, the survey also shows a decline in the president's popularity among Gambians. Lang Sanyang is a researcher at CEPRASS, and he explained some of their findings.
In fact, if you look at this rating, we can see in 2018, when you compare it, 2018 it was 30%. But today we are talking about 59%, which is almost 200% increase, which means local councillors need to redouble their efforts. You can see the comparison between 2018, 2022, and 2021 and 2022.
Mr. Sanyang further reveals that their survey also shows that the majority of citizens say it is more important to be able to hold the government accountable, even if that means decisions are made more slowly, than to have a government that gets things done.
In terms of use of other methods to choose leaders, we are seeing an increase in that, from 11% in 2018 to 17% in 2022. So we are seeing a 6% increase in terms of using other methods to choose leaders.
Fatujan Sengor, an expert on human rights and governance, and Lionel Ose Asima of Afrobarometer highlighted the importance of such research work and how it gives the public a voice in policy making and governance.
What the research has shown, though, is that yes, we have a voice, but are we heard? Are we heard across the board, from central government to local government? Our citizens' voice is heard. Our citizens' voice is heard in policy making and policy formulation. And I think these are the things also that we would like to go into from what the data says.
The sample size for Gambia was 1,200 respondents with a margin of error of plus or minus 3 percentage points at 95% confidence level. The survey was conducted in Gambia from August 2022 to September 2022.
The finding includes the following. On elections, the Afrobarometer researchers found that most Gambians surveyed 81% support elections as the best way to choose their leaders. On the voting system, the majority of Gambians surveyed 60% say the current marble system should be maintained and not replaced with paper ballots. And on local governance, almost 6 in 10 Gambians surveyed 59% give their local government councillor a negative performance rating, up from 30% in 2018. The Afrobarometer has conducted similar surveys in at least 39 African countries, and around 9 surveys, including this one for 2021-2023, are currently underway. They are one of the most reputable research institutions on the continent, and while this latest research is expected to receive mixed reviews, what is certain is that it represents an uncomfortable finding for incumbent councillors and those seeking to contest the upcoming local government elections. Answana Sonyasi for QTV News.
33 Quranic students participated in the regional qualifying rounds of the QCELL-sponsored Quranic competition at Kerewan in the North Bank region. This story by Don Williams is narrated by Julian Jai.
The 33 contestants aged from 13 to 16, accompanied by their teachers, are from 18 madrasas in the North Bank region. It was amazing and touching to see young children reciting the Holy Quran so well after receiving lessons from their teachers. Sheikh Ibrahim Hassan Cham, the coordinator of the competition, spoke about the event.
If we compare this year and last year, this year is better organized and is the biggest so far. This year's participants are also more than there were last year, especially in this region. We have also seen a change in the event, the way we started and how the children's recitation of the Quran and even the way they organized themselves. There is no noise or distraction, so we have seen a big improvement. We appreciate the way the organizers are handling the event.
Ustaz Abdallah Bob, a Quranic teacher from Fas Yagachoy, expressed delight and urged Muslims to teach their children to read the Quran. He also spoke about the children's performance in the competition.
I am very happy about this competition in the North Bank region. What we instilled in these children will encourage us, the teachers, to be more proactive in what we do, and it will enable their parents to know that we are teaching the children well. This is how we will be able to show our performance and that of the children. It will also enable the daras to progress. So we are pleading with the children to learn the Quran because the Quran is very important.
In the Hafiz or Full Quran category, the winner Suleiman Nasibi Jallo was awarded first position. Second position went to Abdallah Usman Jassi, and Baba Muhammad Sahonjai came third. In the half Quran category, in first position was Habibba. Kumba Dembaba came second, and third position went to Hadija Usman Jassi. Suleiman Nasibeba, who took first in the Full Quran category, spoke about his performance.
I thank Allah for bestowing this knowledge on me. I thank my teachers who are here too. I thank them all. May Allah increase their knowledge and may Allah help them and give them all their heart desires. May Allah also forgive them their sins and grant them Jannatul Firdaus.
Kumba Dembaba, who came first in the half Quran category, is hopeful of winning the top prize. I pray for Allah to give peace to my family and those who made it here. I am also advising the students to work hard so that they can also win by the grace of Allah. The judges in the competition were Ustaz Usman Jallo, Ustaz Nasiru Cham and Ustaz Omar Esa Dukure. For QTV News, I am Julden Jai.
The Gambian National Human Rights Commission launched its advisory note on the abolition of the death penalty in the Gambia on Thursday, in which it recommends the government to reintroduce the 2020 draft constitution and to expedite the enactment of the Criminal Offences Bill. Alusise reports.
The Gambia's commitment to the abolition is evidenced by the moratorium on the execution of the death penalty and its ratification of the second optional protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. At the regional level, it has also signed and ratified the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Nonetheless, the death penalty still exists in the national laws, and high courts continue to issue death penalty judgments, as in the case of former senior junta member Yankuba Toure. It is in this regard that the Commission developed a comprehensive advisory note examining the Gambia's obligation to abolish the death penalty. The launch was attended physically and virtually by relevant stakeholders, including the British High Commissioner to the Gambia. To expedite the abolition of the death penalty, the advisory note recommends the government to reintroduce the 2020 draft constitution, which contains progressive provisions that guarantee fundamental rights and freedoms, including right to life. It also recommends the government to prioritize and expedite the enactment of the Criminal Offences Bill and the Criminal Procedure Bill, which proposes to abolish the death penalty as a form of punishment. Jennifer Jom, Vice Chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, said the event presents unique opportunities to discuss approaches to the abolition amidst the growing global consensus to abolish the death penalty, which is fueled by the right to life.
We all know how sensitive the topic has been over the years. There have been thoughts for and against the death penalty, to an extent that some people are still sitting on the fence. But we hope that by the end of this deliberation, and with this advisory note, that the Gambia government, we will assist the Gambia government to come up with its decision that really the death penalty should not be part of our laws.
Representing the Attorney General, Aji Adam Sise, Curator of Interstate Ministry of Justice, explains that crimes punishable by death include murder and treason. She renews the government's commitment to the global call to abolish the death penalty.
As of today, the 23rd of February 2023, we have 29 inmates sentenced to death, all on murder charges in the Gambia. The Gambia did sign and ratify the second optional protocol on the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, aiming at the abolition of the death penalty. And on the 7th of August 2018, the President of the Republic commuted the sentence of all persons sentenced to death into life imprisonment.
As part of its mandate, the Commission conducts research and issues periodic advisory note on prevailing human rights issues and offers recommendations to the government to ensure compliance with the state's national and international obligations. The death penalty, also known as capital punishment, refers to the imposition and execution of a death sentence on a person convicted under a prescribed law. In recent times, the death penalty has become a controversial subject matter, which has led to the emergence of those who support its retention in the laws of the Gambia for some crimes and those who want it abolished. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
We will now go for a commercial break, and when we return, we still have some more local and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
Being the Gambia's trusted network, QCELL continues to provide the fastest and most reliable internet service in the Gambia. With 4G plus internet speed, you are guaranteed fast and reliable internet anytime, anywhere with QCELL. Get a QCELL SIM card now at any of our customer care centers and enjoy the fastest 4G internet in the Gambia. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCELL, Sunyabus, we innovate, others follow.
To make sure your company's products and services reach your potential customers, it is essential that you choose the right channel for your marketing purposes. QTV has the widest reach locally and beyond, and we can give your business the visibility it needs. Call QTV Marketing on +220 324 4444 or email us at marketing@qtv.gm and take your business to the world.
Welcome back, and thank you very much if you're just joining us. This is QTV News. The Diplomacy and International Relations Students Association of the Management Development Institute on Wednesday honored the founding fathers of the Gambia's independence in commemoration of the 58th independence anniversary. Lena E. Igwanyiba reports.
The event aims to recognize and celebrate Gambian heroes involved in the negotiations and struggles that led to the country's independence, like Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara, Sir Farimang Singate, Edward Francis Small, and all who demonstrated courage to ensure the country attained its independence in 1965. Hassoum Cisse, Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture, explains the history of the Gambia in attaining independence.
So at independence, this country was really in a very, very difficult situation. Now, international relations was one of the survival tactics of Sadauda's government. Not minerals, no, international relations. Diplomacy was at the heart of how this country was able to survive as an independent state. So when you study international relations, I want you to bear that in mind, that it is something that has served this country very well, building friends with the rest of the world.
Diplomacy and international relations allow nations to cooperate, pool resources and share information to face global issues that go beyond any particular country. Hence, it is important to equip and ensure these future diplomats understand their roles in national development. Pulondau, head of the Department of Diplomacy and International Relations Students Association, DISA, expressed gratitude to the pioneers of independence and gave an assurance of the use of diplomacy for progress in development.
Our aspirations for the Gambia remain ignited, and together we will use diplomacy like our forefathers did 58 years ago to realize our collective goals for our beloved nation. The importance and relevance of the attainment of independence for the Gambia, for its self-governance and sovereignty, cannot be overemphasized, thanks to our founding fathers, wherever they are.
Dembo Mbaji, a retired diplomat, served as Gambia's High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, India, and as Ambassador to China. He offered words of inspiration and advice to the students.
Because as students of diplomacy and international relations, I expect you to pay particular attention to the happenings in your country and in the international environment. All the flowers of all the tomorrows are in the seeds of today, and that is you. So you must sharpen your tools in the process of national development, in the process of the diplomatic service of this country, a service that will achieve tangible results for the country. Your productive engagement in diplomacy, that's what we will expect from you.
The Gambia plays an active role in international affairs, especially the Economic Community of West African States and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. We join DISA in celebrating the founding fathers of the country's independence. Reporting for QTV News, I am Lena E. Gwenyiba.
From that report by Lena E. Igwenyiba, now to international news. Members of Somalia's parliament have voted unanimously to donate 20% of their February salaries to victims of the twin earthquake in Türkiye. As Jennifer Sonko reports, government and other institutions have also donated.
Since the February earthquakes that have devastated parts of Türkiye and Syria, many African countries have assisted. In this latest offer of help, the parliamentary session was attended by 150 lawmakers. It was proposed that members of parliament vote after meeting with Speaker Sheikh Adan Muhammad Noor, who also agreed to participate in the ongoing relief campaign for earthquake victims in Türkiye. Somalia's Prime Minister Hamza Abdi Barre announced that funds be raised for the earthquake victims. The people and the government of Somalia already have raised $4 million. The Somali Bankers Association announced a donation of $3 million on behalf of the business community. Furthermore, 2 private institutions in Somalia have donated over $200,000 to Türkiye's Disaster and Emergency Management Presidency. Globally, more than $120 million have been raised in donations so far. Türkiye's death toll has climbed above 41,000, according to the country's disaster authority. This number is expected to rise further, given that more than 345,000 apartments were destroyed and many people are still unaccounted for. In Syria, authorities have said more than 5,800 people have died. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jennifer Sonko.
Heads of state and government of the African Union AU converge in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia for the AU summit. QTV's Jennifer Sonko had a chat with Doreen Ninina Hazwe, anti-poverty campaign organizations Once AU and East Africa director on the summit highlights.
At the top of the agenda of the African Union Summit was the African Free Trade Agreement. The African Free Trade Agreement aims to boost intra-Africa trade by 60% by 2034 by eliminating almost all tariffs. The agreement is the biggest in the world in terms of population, gathering 54 out of 55 countries on a continent with 1.4 billion people. The only country not to have signed up is Eritrea. African nations trade only about 15% of their goods and services with each other. The coronavirus pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war have further shown the need for African countries to trade amongst themselves. One's AU and East Africa Director elaborates.
Continental Free Trade Area. It's very important for our countries to be able to trade among themselves and be able to depend on each other. Food sovereignty is very important, and the president of Senegal, Macky Sall, who was the chairperson of the African Union last year, convened a summit in the beginning of this year in Dakar to discuss the Feed Africa Summit, because it's really important that as Africans we able to sit down and discuss how we're going to be able to contour this food crisis.
During the summit, leaders also expressed regrets about the recent resurgence of unconstitutional changes of government, political instability, and the weakening of states. This has led to violent extremism, terrorism, and the inherent conflict in electoral processes.
A clear condemnation of this unconstitutional change of government, and the countries, you probably know that countries that go through coups, the leaders of those countries are not allowed to sit at the gathering of leaders when they go to the AU. So that was also a big discussion of how we can change this trend. We've seen that in the last year, we had about 5 coups on the African continent. I think 3 of them succeeded and 2 were aborted. So that came very, that was a deep discussion in the peace and security agenda.
This year marks the 60th anniversary of the creation of the African Union. However, many African countries still question effectiveness of the body. One's AU and East Africa Director says it is unfair to say the body is ineffective as the AU has recorded significant achievements.
Probably argue that it's been slow, but it's been promising and making progress. Let's look at the progress that has been achieved since the creation of this organization. And I would like to mention here that today, this year, is the 60th anniversary of the OAU, of the African Union. It started as an OAU, and now we have it as the AU. And what they have been able to achieve has been really tremendous, starting from fighting for independence from our forefathers who created this organization. Let's also remember that there are so many conflicts they've been able to mediate on the continent. And the most recent example is the Ethiopian government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front that signed an agreement recently.
During the summit, member states were urged to redouble the spirit of Pan-Africanism, solidarity and brotherhood for the maintenance of peace and security. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jenna Bosonko.
Let's go back to the recap of our main news headlines. Afrobarometer, in partnership with CEPRASS, released their latest survey on Thursday, which revealed, among other things, that about 4 in 10 Gambians say local government councillors never try to listen to what they have to say. 33 Quranic students participated in the regional qualifying rounds of the QCELL-sponsored Quranic competition at Kerewan in the North Bank region. The Gambia National Human Rights Commission launched its advisory note on the abolition of the death penalty in the Gambia and made some recommendations. The Diplomacy and International Relations Students Association of MDI on Wednesday honored the founding fathers of the Gambia's independence. And in international news, members of Somalia's parliament have voted unanimously to donate 20% of their February salaries to victims of the twin earthquake in Türkiye. That's all in this edition of the news. Thank you very much for watching. Join us again at 10 for another bulletin.